Hi there, welcome to Yoga with Gemma. So obviously of late people have been feeling a little bit panicked, a little bit fearful, frustrated, stressed. So this is a really quick practice that we can play with to come out of that stressed, panicked state and into a more relaxed, calm state. So we're actually going to start by mimicking what animals do in nature. And when animals are really frightened or they've experienced some stress or trauma, they tend to shake, and actually sometimes humans do that too. So you can start by just closing your eyes, the feet are just underneath the hips, and then your shake might just be really subtle. It might be in your fingertips, in your hands, or it might be something that's quite dramatic, something that's quite tangible. You can let your head join in as well. Kind of just make it up. Tune in and let your body move how it needs to move to shake off the tension, to shake off the stress. So you can move any of that subtle fear or gross fear out of your cells. Just let it disengage and disperse. Nice smooth belly breaths as we move. You might shift your weight onto one foot then the other. You can raise your arms. Just a little longer. See if there's anything else that hasn't been shook. Good. And then just come to a standstill. And just notice how you feel. Keep a little bend in your knees, a softness. And just feel the body resetting itself. Good. And then from here, another really great little short exercise you can use to actively release tension. So on the breath in, we're going to be contracting, making a fist, making a face. No one can see. That's the beauty of doing it at home. So as you inhale, squeezing, lift the shoulders to the ears, scrunch your face, and as you exhale, do it through your mouth and drop all of the tension, all of the contraction. Do it again. Inhale, squeeze up. Exhale, let it go. Inhale again. Exhale, let the head drop. Let's do 3 more. Let that out breath really come from your tummy, from your diaphragm. Good, again. And one for luck. Good. And then take your feet just a little bit wider than hip width. Keep a tiny bend in the knee still. And cross your arms over in front of the pelvis. As you breathe in, draw the arms over and wide. Separate the hands. Nice gentle chest opener, and then as you exhale, close the arms back in and allow the chin to fall to the chest. So inhaling, stay grounded in your feet as you raise the arms, spread them wide. This could be a gentle back bend if you feel ready for it. Exhale, bringing the arms back down. A couple more. So one of the other things that happens when we get stressed is we tend to contract, we tend to protect the visceral organs. So this just allows us to let the organs respace, to let the diaphragm relax and loosen. Get 2 more. Hasta Uttanasana, hand raising pose. And as you raise the upper body again, stay present with the lower body. And then separate the arms and bring the feet back underneath the hips. We're going to start to move into some subtle balancing poses, moving into more obvious ones. So just shift your weight into your right foot. And with balancing poses, it's helpful to find a drishti. A drishti is a gazing point that helps you just to not lose your balance. So maybe find something on the floor or ahead of you. And then with the weight into the right foot, just start to, either you can free circle the left ankle or you can keep the toes on the floor and move the lower leg around that pivot point of the big toe. So just looking to loosen and massage through the foot and the ankle joint. If you can, connect a full breath in and out with each circle. So whenever we coordinate body to breath, we're helping the nervous system to move out of the fight or flight response and back into the rest, digest and heal response. So let's just take it the other way if you haven't already. And again, you can be here if you prefer. Keeping the arms and shoulders relaxed and loose. Good. So swapping over, bringing the left foot firm to the floor. Re-establish your drishti, your gaze point. Feel free to do a little bit of each movement through the ankle, or just to choose one, either keeping the big toe on the floor, moving the foot and all the little joints around, or if you prefer, floating the foot. Really feel your way around. Notice all the little spaces in between the bones, the sinews, the little muscles. And reversing. Make sure you're still breathing. One more. Good. And then send the weight back into your right foot. So we're going to move the focus up into the hip joint. And for this, you're going to imagine there's a figure of 8 drawn on the floor, a circle in front and a circle behind, and we'll be tracing it with the foot. So you might just want to make sure that there's nothing around you to kick. And then with the weight back into the right side, maybe just gently lift the pelvic floor so there's that sense of center in the lower body. And then you can let your arms do whatever you need to do. So I recommend do it in the mind first, that figure of 8, and then let the body trace around, let the body follow. So you might do it really slowly initially, just feeling your way through. And then once you get the hang of it, there might be a little bit more fluidity. And you might find the rest of your body kind of counterbalances the movement. So don't control your arms, just let the movement travel up the body and see what happens. So I know that the mind will be thinking about what the foot's doing, but see if you can really feel that movement being initiated from the hip, from the thigh bone moving around the hip socket. So I know that you've probably just got the hang of that. I'm actually going to ask you to now reverse. So again, do it in the mind first, and then let that compute into the muscles. So it might be a different pattern of movement. The body may need to respond in a slightly different way. So your circle, your figure of 8s don't have to be super big. They might be small. They might be more controlled, more slow. Just make it your own. Good. One more. Send your weight across into the other side. Just take a composing breath. Let the weight ground. So there's a tiny bend through the back of our base leg knee, so there's no locking or rigidity in the joints that will prohibit us from moving freely. So again, in the mind first, draw that 8 shape, and then begin to trace it with your toes, almost like you've got a pencil in between your big toe and your second toe. And then just allow yourself to work at your own pace, your own rhythm. We're all going to be finding our own rhythm and pace with all the things that are happening in the outside world at the moment. Finding new routines, new patterns that work for us. Good. Take a little pause, reversing. If you try and do it too quickly, you might find you topple, so my advice is to start slow. And then have a little bit of fun with it. Just, again, let the upper body be uncontrolled. You might find that the muscles in your standing leg start to talk to you as the stabilizer muscles start to work. Don't be worried if that's happening. You might start to feel these glute muscles warming. Good. And then letting it go. So hopefully lower body joints and muscles feel a little bit warmer. We're going to move into another balancing pose. And the reason we're doing balancing poses, you may have noticed that, you know, when you're busy trying not to topple over or keep a physical sense of steadiness, it's actually quite hard for the mind to think about its worries, its cares, its woes, because all your attention's on that one thing. So that's why balancing is really good for bringing you out of fight or flight. So for this one, feet are underneath the hips, spread the toes, again soften the knees, and then hands interlaced in front of the body. Take a roll back through your shoulders. We'll start just with simple and we'll move into more advanced. So as you breathe in, keep your feet on the floor for now, take your palms up and they turn up as you pass the throat. Relax your shoulders down, and then exhaling, we're bringing the arms back down the same way. Palms turn up as you pass the throat back to the pelvis. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling, so move to the whole length of the breath in, pushing up, 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 but keeping those shoulder blades down the back. And exhaling, coming down through the midline. This time as you raise the hands, we'll come up onto the toes, onto the balls of the feet. So squeeze the heels gently up off the floor, contracting the calves and the quads. Pause at the peak. And then exhale, take your time, hands and heels slowly descending. So again, just using a drishti, that gazing point ahead of you. Let the breath move the body. Exhaling down. If you find it too tricky to do both things at the same time, you can just go hands to hips and just work with a heel lift. Okay. Seeing if we can time the heels and the hands. And because the feet have got less distance to travel, the calves are going to need to release just that little bit slower. Slightly lengthening the tailbone, stapling the big toes to the floor. Last round. Good. Okay, when you're complete, just relaxing the palms away. One more balancing pose, tree pose. So again, find yourself drishti. This time make sure the drishti is at eye level. And that point of one focus is helpful, but sometimes it can narrow us. So what I recommend is that as you find your drishti, that one point spot ahead of you, engage the peripheral vision. The peripheral vision is just this awareness of what's happening wide. It's the kind of thing we use naturally when we're driving. You know, we're looking at the road ahead, but we can still have that sense of cars passing us on either side. So this is like putting stabilizers on your pose, a bit like when you put stabilizers on your bike when you were a kid. So just try it. Gaze forward and then have that awareness of what's happening wide. So with the weight in the right foot, spread the toes, anchor the heel, and then lift through the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, and take a tiny bend in the back of your base leg knee. So there's no locking, no rigidity. Turn outward from your left hip and bring your foot either to the inner ankle joint with the foot still on the floor, or if it's available for you, you can bring your heel beneath the knee joint or the big toe above the knee joint. So the knee joint here, we're not wanting to push the foot onto the inside part of the knee. So either heel below or big toe above. And then when you've planted the foot, really squeeze those two surfaces together. So sole of foot and leg, whichever part of the leg it is, hug them to the midline. So the lower body's really active and engaged. We're squaring the hips, driving up through the crown of the head and down through the foot, like there's this long pole of energy through the pose. When your lower body's steady, bring the hands to the heart and actively push into the arms so that there's this ring of a gentle tension through the chest, shoulders, arms. Again, as you push to the midline and lift through the crown. So find the place in the pose where you can get that sense of balance. If it's not here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here. But just finding that sweet spot where you can feel yourself centering, where you can feel yourself sort of grounding, coming into that kind of one-pointed focus. We're going to take a couple more breaths wherever you can be. Relaxing the shoulders from the ears. And then gently unpacking the pose, just relaxing the arms away, releasing the foot back to the floor. See if you can hold the drishti, hold the gaze. You can move the body while the gaze stays still. Feel the weight across into the left foot. Relax the back of your knee. Outwardly turn your hip. And then see where this right leg is going to work for you. Maybe ankle, maybe calf, maybe inner thigh. So again, solidify the legs to the midline. Gentle lift through Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor. And hands to heart when you're ready. So when I'm talking about activating, you're not pushing for grim death, but there's a sense of resistance there. Imagine a piece of string is drawing you up from the crown of your head up to the ceiling. Notice what's happening in the inner face. Can you relax your tongue down from the roof of the mouth? Soften the lower jaw. Just feel the breath, feel its ease, its spontaneity. Good job. When you're ready, just relaxing the arms and the lower body. And both feet to the floor, just take a breath, and if you need a little wriggle out through your ankles again, bend through the knees. And then we'll take a turn to the long edge of the mat, or the short edge of the mat, come a long way, so there's space to travel backwards, and we'll move into a forward fold. So we want feet underneath the hips, staying with the softness behind the knees. As you breathe in, take a nice overhead stretch, lengthening through the spine and the arms. As you exhale, drawing the belly, take a wide sweep. You can bend your knees as much as you need to take care of your back. And then just taking one elbow into the opposite hand. And it can take a little while for the vertebrae to release with gravity. So if it feels helpful, you can give your head a shake, yes or no. You can rock your sitting bones a little bit left to right. Or you might feel your weight sort of swaying backward and forward. Because we're using this pose to help to bring us out of fight or flight mode, what I would suggest is that you, rather than using your body to create a perfect pose without trying to force the legs into a straight position, just allow the brain to drop, allow the nervous system to be soothed in the pose. So you might close your eyes. And you might start to feel the out breath being a little bit longer than the in breath. Let's take one more breath here, Uttanasana. And then bring the hands to the shins and strut the torso forward. You might let your legs straighten a little bit more here if you're able. Pulling the crown of the head forward. And just letting the collarbones sit wide so we're not collapsing the upper body, but there's a sense of lengthening and widening. And then a generous bend in the knees. Engage your core to support yourself and striding through the right foot. Take it back and come into a lunge. So if you've got a back knee that's going to need a bit more love or padding, you might pop a blanket or a cushion underneath your knee. And just scooching your ankle forward so that it's right underneath the knee joint. So if your back's somewhere like this, then just lift your hands up, create a bit of space and wriggle your foot further forward. Good, so we want ankle and knee on top of each other. And then from here, a nice ground into the left big toe, bring the hands up onto the thigh and just press your weight back so that the pelvis comes more towards the back knee. So here we're opening into the psoas, into the hip flexors in the front of the right thigh. This is our fight or flight muscle. So when we're tensed a lot, it's tending to contract and release, because it thinks we need to run from the tiger. So it might feel a bit tight if you've had a really stressful week. So just take a moment to come to the edge of the pose, the place where you can feel that stretch, but not the place where it's hard to breathe or you're in pain or your shoulders are lifting. So you might just stay here if this is enough, or you could extend the right arm up to the ceiling. Just lengthening through the side of the body. Letting the breath move between the armpit and the knee. I'm going to move into a twist from here. So really feel that this left hip crease is pulling back. Pull the ribs in and begin to turn to your left. So you can either take the right arm across the knee, palm open, palm closed. You can have your elbow bent. Just see what feels okay there in this right shoulder. And the same with the back hand. It can travel around to the back of the lower back, or you might graze your fingertips to your back thigh. Let the collarbones widen. Relax your jaw. Just feeling the wrapping sensation, the rotation of the spine, gentle squeeze of the organs. So you could stay with this twist, or there's a couple of other things to play with. If you've had enough here, you could bring your right hand to the floor, and you could extend the left hand if it's too much in the top shoulder. Maybe the left hand is on the hip. Or if you're happy to go into a tighter twist, you can bring your armpit towards the knee, really wriggling the ribs up and over the thigh, palms coming together. And you may stay here, or you may tuck your back toes under and peel the back knee up off the floor, pushing out through the back heel. Nice generous squeeze through the organs. See if you can find, if you're in this last option, a nice pole of energy between your heel, through the pelvis and up through the crown of the head. Good, one more breath, ring it through those organs. And when you're ready, bring your gaze to the floor and just unwrapping the upper body. Take your hands either side to frame your front foot, and we're stepping back. And if you've done yoga before but not with me, you might know this pose as downward facing dog. So we call it mountain pose, Sumirasana. It's the same position. So we're chest back. Oftentimes people focus on trying to straighten the legs, and it might force the shoulders forward if the hamstrings are tight. So feel free to really bend the knees and to hook the sitting bones up to the ceiling. Same thing as forward fold. Try not to be overly focused on alignment here or trying to perfect it, but just enjoy this feeling of being grounded to the earth. Let the neck and head free up. Really feeling the contact of the earth beneath the palms and the soles of the feet. Let's take another full breath in and out. And then look ahead to the space in between your hands and take as many steps up to the top of your mat as you need. Feet come back underneath the hips. Back to Ardha Uttanasana, finding that nice tabletop back. You can still bend your knees if you need to. Engaging the core. And from here we'll step back into lunge with the left foot. So nice bend in the knees, fingertips to the floor. Left knee moving back. Maybe you need the blanket, maybe not. And just make sure there's hips distance between your foot and your knee. If you're too narrow here, it's going to be a bit wobbly. So check that you've got knee and ankle stacking. And then bring your body weight back in space so that we can find those hip flexors. In lunges, if we're body forward, we might still feel a stretch, but the focus, the weight tends to go in this front leg. So just easing your upper body's weight back, but staying present and grounded into the big toe base on the right side there. So we might lengthen the tailbone slightly towards the floor. That turns up the stretch here just a little. You can have your back toes tucked or untucked, depends on what your knee prefers. Lightly drawing in your lowest ribs, your floating ribs. And then if you'd like that overhead stretch, just lengthening up through the seam of the body, go for it. Just meet whatever's there with your breath, unless it's pain. If it's pain, please respond. Give yourself permission to come out, to fix something, to pad, to cushion, or to let it go completely. It's your practice. Okay, when you're ready, we'll explore a twist. So we've got lots of options. We might just start by revolving the ribs to the right, pulling the right hip crease back. Find a happy resting place for the arms. We want the shoulders to descend from the ears. So if you feel like being adventurous, take your gaze back past your right shoulder. As you move your eyes around, it's going to challenge your balance a little bit more. Feel free to stay with this twist or to explore those other options. We've got left hand coming down to the floor. Right hand perhaps lifting to ceiling or hand to hip. Or if you prefer, you can take the left tricep over the shelf of the right thigh. And then pressing right palm on top of left palm to revolve the chest toward the ceiling. So you can keep your back toes tucked under, you can keep the knee on the floor, or you might extend through the back heel, lifting the back thigh. Nice couple of extra breaths, just wringing them out through the organs. Rest if you need to. And then unpeeling the upper body, bringing the hands back to the earth. And when you're ready, step back to mountain pose. Take your time to get there. Just having the feet hip width apart, hands shoulder width. Remember, be easy about it. Bend your knees a little. Feel free to wag the hips or sway or pedal the feet. And then see if you can just allow yourself to come into a place where you can just be still. Just let your facial muscles hang. Staying connected to the earth beneath the body. And then gradually soften knees to mat. If you've had your blanket, you can slide that out. And we're going to come all the way onto the tummy. So just allowing your body a moment or two to reset. You can make a pillow with the hands or not, up to you. Just take a moment of simply noticing, just noticing the sensations in your body, noticing how it feels to be laying face down. And beginning to just notice the movement of the spine as you breathe. Seeing if you can invite the breath up and down the spine so that as you inhale, it's like you sip it, like sipping fluid up a straw, sipping the breath up from the base, up in between the shoulder blades, up to the head. And then exhale, the breath, the energy travels back down the spine to the tailbone. You might find there are some parts of your back that respond to the breath and other parts that feel a bit frozen or a bit sticky. That's okay, that's normal sometimes. We're going to stay with this spinal breath as we come into a really gentle back bend. So if just being on your tummy creates sensation in your lower back already, maybe that's enough for you. But if you're quite happy to, you can bring your elbows to the floor and sit your chin in your hands. Just let the weight of the head, the brain to relax. Send your shoulder blades down your back. And just watching the breath. Just feeling the cheeks and the eyelids softening. Another 2 breaths here. And then gradually release the body back to the mat. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. If your back feels a bit tight, you can rock your sitting bones from left to right. And then pressing into the hands and the knees, engaging the core, moving to a tabletop. From here we're coming into Swan pose. This is a glute stretch. So if it's available for you, bringing the right knee through to the right hand and then letting the shin come forward on the diagonal. So some people will be happy here. Other people might need to pop a blanket, a book, a block underneath the sit bone. And as we come forward, we're looking for a nice stretch in that outer seam of the hip and the buttock. If you know that this is going to create pain for your knee, you've had a knee injury, then I'd let go of that option and you could play with this one on the back. This is figure 4. We've got that same leg working, so this time ankle to the knee. This may be enough, you may already get sensation here, or you can take the right hand through the space of the legs and bring the left leg in toward the body. So this is option 2. Feel free to let your body decide which one works best for you today. If you are on your back in the second option and the head is straining off the floor, in order to reach the leg, you can just pop something underneath your head as well. So you just give your body the best chance at being able to relax and enjoy the stretch. Let's just take a couple more breaths on this right side, letting your breath really coat the area of the glutes and the hip. Relaxing the lower back. So if you're in the reclining option with the ankle to the knee, you can maybe stay there for another breath. If you're in swan pose, facing the floor, then bring the hands back underneath the shoulders and slowly ease your weight off. Just allowing your right leg a little stretch through. If you've been on your back, just release for a moment. And we'll swap over. So if you're on your back, you'll cross your left ankle to your right knee, and if you're forward facing in swan, left knee forward. Don't be in a hurry to get into what you think is the end of the pose, the edge or the end of your range. Just be willing to meet the pose where the sensations arise. We let go of being greedy for the stimulation. You can keep your torso upward, or you can relax to forearms. You may even like to relax all the way out to the mat. Free to let your eyes close. And whether you're face down or you're on your back, just lean into the support of the floor. Let yourself be held. Just a couple more breaths if you choose. So if you've been facing the floor in swan pose, just reconnect the hands to the floor. Gently ease your weight off your front knee, off the front thigh. Give it a little stretch back behind you. If you've been on your back, just releasing the legs. And wherever you've been, we're going to meet back into child pose. So just having the hips sinking back over the heels. If you're somebody for whom this pose triggers cramp in your feet, it's because this flat position in the foot is maybe a bit too much at the moment. So you can roll your blanket and have the top of the ankle joint, this part here, sort of bridging over. And if this is too deep for your knees, if you've had knee surgery, something like that, you can be on your back, just hugging your knees to your chest to take the weight off. Okay, so just find a place that your body enjoys. Upper body wise, we might have our head stacking onto our hands. You might outstretch your arms, or have your arms beside you. As you sink into the stillness, you can just relax all of the muscles in your body. And as you rest your forehead either to the floor or to your hands, just feel this gentle pressure on the forehead, like it's sort of tranquilizing the mind, just numbing our thoughts, any worries. Nice, smooth, even breaths. And when you're ready, just very slowly and gently we'll transition our way onto our backs. So just peeling the torso away, maybe a side saddle. And as we lay on our backs, we're going to move into reclining butterflies. So if you know that your outer knees don't like this position, if it pulls the ligaments, you can again just wedge cushions, pillows, blankets, blocks under the outer knees. Have something under your head if your neck feels uncomfortable. We're going to do a bit of breath work here, so just ensure that the body feels comfortable, and then maybe just resting your hands on your belly, or if you prefer you can have your arms beside your body. We're closing the eyes and just feeling the coolness of the breath in the nostrils. I'm going to bring in a breath count. If the breath count I'm offering you feels a little bit too long, it's straining you in any way, you can always shorten it, counting less. So we're going to be breathing in for the count of 4. We'll hold the breath in just for a pause, maybe a count of 1, and then we'll breathe out for the count of 6. So the breath stays through the nose throughout the practice. Wherever you are within your breath cycle, empty the breath all the way out now. And then breathe into the belly for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling for 4. Pause. Exhaling 6. Inhaling 4. Exhaling 6. And continuing with your own breath count, giving it 100% of your attention. Complete the round that you're on and one more round. And then disregard the count and just let the natural breath return. We'll slowly close the knees together like pages of a heavy book. You can use your hands to help if you'd like. Bringing the knees onto the chest, relaxing the lower back. And just enjoy a pause here, feeling the weight and the support of the body against the floor. Relaxing the jaws. And when you're ready, just find a comfortable place for a couple of minutes for a short relaxation. So you can have something underneath your knees like a blanket if your back aches with your legs straight. Just resting the arms beside the body, thumb and forefinger lightly joined if that's okay for you. Allow any little adjustments and then just feel the weight, shape and form of your body being generously received by the earth beneath. Give yourself permission to be held. And now I invite you to just simply take your awareness, your attention into the stillest part of your experience. Gently become aware of the body, the whole body, the whole physical body resting over the floor. Take a nice deep belly breath. And gradually bring a bit of life into your fingers and toes. Hands, feet, head, the limbs. Maybe a nice overhead stretch when you're ready. Maybe bringing the knees back into the chest one by one. Take a slow roll to the side. Feel free to take a pause here, just gently transitioning back into your day. And gradually transitioning into any comfortable upright position. And if you'd like to, we'll close our time together. So just resting the arms beside you with eyes open or closed. As you breathe in, take a wide sweep of the arms and collecting with that calming energy you've managed to create. Bring the hands down to your heart as you exhale. And let your mind bow to the heart, bringing your forehead towards your fingertips. And just take a moment to thank yourself for the time, the energy, the dedication you've put into this practice today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this practice. Look forward to practicing with you again soon. Bye.